Rematch is now out for all editions on all platforms, and everyone's asking one question: how do I get good at FIFA? That is today's video. I've already put a guide together on how the main systems work in Rematch, from ranked leagues to season passes to the store, but today we're focusing purely on the gameplay. I need to be clear though that this video or any video out there will not teach you how to optimally play Rematch, because you can't. The beauty of a football game is that it differs moment to moment and game to game. This video is going to give you the absolute basics and then move into some scenarios where I'll give you some options into what you could do. I'll then show those use cases in the matches themselves, since there's no bot training that I can use to teach them, but I'll give you some real game examples. But let me be clear, there is no right way of approaching any scenario, nor am I here to optimize the fun out of Rematch. I'm going to try my best to timestamp all the main sections, but let's begin with the absolute basics of the game. Alright, we're going to start with the absolute basics of Rematch to get going. Now, there's a couple of different ways in which we can manipulate the ball, but there is one main mechanic in Rematch, and that, obviously, is the shoot mechanic. That is just a regular shot like that using the right trigger. But there is three ways in which we can manipulate that shoot mechanic: curvature, shot power, and whether we're going to give it a nice amount of height to it, or we're going to use a drop shot so it dips a lot quicker. Now, if we come into here a little bit, we can see that little bit of curvature there. By tilting it to the left or to the right will add curvature. But if we use barely any power, it will curve a lot more. So curvature and power go together in the sense that the more power you add, the less curve it will be if you decide to curl it. And if you add a lot, lot less power, then adding more, it will add more curvature to it. The same then applies to drop shots. Put barely any power on it, it will dip a lot faster, versus putting more power into it. Now, all of these could be applied together, so you could add power, curvature, and drop shot in the same vein. If I aim up in the top left, go full power, it's going to do a little bit of that. But if I do barely any power, if I go back to the top left, I'm going to get a little bit of that. That is the main mechanic in terms of shooting in Rematch. But shoot button also applies in a variety of scenarios, in that balls where, let's say that my teammate is in the corner over there, you're going to use that as the pass rather than the main pass itself. The shoot mechanic is used for clearances, it's used for passing, it's used for crossing, it's used for shots. Now what I want to do is walk through a couple of different scenarios as to what you might do in those scenarios. Now again, I need to be clear that there is no right way of doing anything in Rematch, but what you have is options. Rematch is a game about anticipation and seeing and trying to psych out what your opponent's doing in the same way that they're trying to guess what you're doing. What I'm going to walk you through here is a one-on-one scenario. When you get into a one-on-one scenario, you have what I think is 4 different options. You have your basic shoot, so you go one-on-one, you shoot, and you're going to try and beat the keeper that way. Your other option is to run up, do a lob pass, and then score the rebound. The third one is to do something similar, make him psych out that you're going to shoot, get him to dive, and then hit the rebound. The final one is the keeper comes out, you're trying to smother you bounce it over the keeper, and you score. As for what is the right way of doing it, there is no right one. It's all about anticipation. In the same way that you're trying to suss what the keeper might do, the keeper's trying to suss what you're going to do. The closer you get to the goal, the more likely it is that the keeper is going to think, oh shit, he's going to loot me. And he's going to try and bounce it, meaning if he's in net, he's then going to try and come out and block it that way. So you also have a fifth option that is a little bit less of a use case, but you get close, and you try and pass it in, and it's a much quicker thing than sizing up a shot. Now, personally, for me, the worst way to encounter a one-on-one is just to shoot. Gives the keeper the easiest out in terms of just guessing the correct dive, and it has to be one hell of a shot, as most often, if the keeper dives the right way, he's going to save it unless it is that perfect shot. So really, we want to be doing some kind of wall manipulation here to make sure that the keeper is sussed out. Let me show you some examples.
Well played. Well done. Sorry.
So that's really how to approach a one-on-one. You very rarely want to be shooting. Again, it comes back to there is no perfect scenario here in how to do anything, because Most of the time, it will be a unique thing. You might have someone closing you down from the side. You might have a teammate in support that you can chip a pass to. There is such a variety of things that can happen that means there is no optimal way of dealing with a one-on-one. You will see people just do this over the keeper over and over again until they get bored. You will see people chip it up and then shoot straight away. There is a variety of things that you can do, but for me, they're the 4 main ways in which I would approach a one-on-one. The next thing we're going to talk about is crosses. So, in Rematch, you will find yourself in scenarios where your friend or your teammate is out here on the wings, and they're going to whip the ball in a variety of ways. There is a couple of different ways in which they might do it. They may do a lob pass, like so. They may get it here, and they may do a normal shot like that, but it's counted as a pass. Or they may bounce it off the wall for you to then go and hit the rebound. Again, this comes down to anticipation and trying to psych the goalkeeper out. Again, this is about trying to psych the goalkeeper out and play on your terms and manipulate the keeper. So, when the ball comes in, let's say it bounces, we then have the option to bounce it up, got the rebound. When the ball comes in, let's just bounce it off there, for example. You have the option of just shooting. You have the option of just heading the ball, like so, and using the pass mechanic. Or you have the option, the ball coming in, flicking it up, and then trying to beat the keeper and deceive him that way. Let me show you some examples.
Press it! Good job!
I got it.
Good job! Cross it! Good post!
In Rematch, even though things are given a term, it doesn't mean they always apply to them, in the sense that the shoot mechanic can be used as a pass mechanic, but the pass mechanic can be used as the shoot mechanic. The same applies to the lob mechanic, in that if you're one-on-one, the keeper's on his way out, you just chip them, using the lob mechanic.
Well played. Well done. Sorry.
The lob mechanic and the pass mechanic require very precise inputs in where you're going. So sometimes it is best to use the shoot when you're passing, but also in other scenarios it's very different. Again, I'm not going to walk you through how to do the normal passes and normal lobs. That is all part of the tutorial that you should have done by now, to be honest with you. Alright, moving on to crosses. What should you do in a scenario where your friends are in the box and you need to make a cross to them? There is 3 different ways in which to cross the ball to people. Number 1 is obviously just to do a lob pass. You see them in, you lob it in, and then they will hopefully finish. Number 2, you can use your mechanic, and again, you can either drop it in. So if they're bang slap in the center there, if you shoot and then push down to do a drop shot, it will arrive to them nicer, meaning they can just volley it. If they're at the very back post and you see them, you can push upwards and it will add a little bit more height, and then that will then drop to their feet. The final one, which is a very important one to use and utilize, is to bounce it against the back wall. Bouncing against the back wall does something horrible for the goalkeeper, in the sense that when that ball goes against the back wall, if they haven't anticipated and it bounces back here, they have to quickly react as to where that shot might go. When that then bounces there, they will have a rebound and they can shoot. Again, in the same way that I spoke before about crosses, they may choose to bounce it again against the back wall and shoot. They may straight up just shoot, or they will manipulate it in however they choose to do so.
Press it!
Good job. To me. Back post.
Again, there is no right way of doing any of these things. If the goalkeeper is a good anticipator, if you're going against the back wall, they may anticipate that, run off their line and collect the ball. So sometimes if you're 2-on-1 against the goalkeeper here, the best thing to do is just to do a lob pass, and then they have the option to do the same, either back to you to manipulate the keeper again, or take the shot.
My fault.
Alright, let's talk about passing and where and when you should use the pass mechanic versus the shoot mechanic. The truth is, for any precise input, I would always go for the shoot mechanic. In the sense that if your teammate is on the other end of the field, you always want to be just smashing that. Now, if you're under pressure and you've got somebody closing you down, because of the input time to go for the shot mechanic to use as a pass, sometimes the best option is just to use the pass mechanic and put it across the field. Same applies to if your teammate is just on the way down, you've got somebody closing you down here, you just loop it over them so that they can go through.
Good job.
Also, don't be afraid to use the walls in some scenarios. If you're being closed down, your friend is there, you can easily just bounce the ball across it, and then they'll be through on that way. Let me show you some examples.
Square it.
Lovely spreading of the play. Brilliant. Gonna go one more. Finish!
Push it.
Good job.
Alright, let's talk about defending. Now, defending and goalkeeping are the most difficult ones to showcase because there is no bots or anything that can shoot against me to showcase how all of this works. However, I think personally it's quite simple as to how you should approach defense. If somebody is dribbling at you, the best thing that you can possibly do is jockey. Holding left trigger, or on PC, it's left control. What you don't want to do is commit to whoever is taking you on. The best way to sell yourself, i.e. to make it easy for your opponent, is just to sprint at them and dive in. Unless the ball is 100% there to be won, or you are in a sprint race with somebody, slide tackling is the only time that really is of use.
Nice. I got it.
For example, if you're chasing somebody down and they're through on goal and you're coming from behind, absolutely, that is when you slide tackle. But if you're facing the opponent and it's their job to get past you, really, you only want to be utilizing two things here. The first one is the standing tackle. You want to make it as hard as possible for them to get past you. So you give yourself a little bit of distance. As soon as they then use a skill move, if they try and rainbow flick it over you, you've got the advantage because you're right here, bang, you just tackle. If they try to do a second rainbow flick, that's when you then press the Y or the triangle button to do a jump in the air, blocking that second rainbow flick. But again, there is no way to teach anything here. It is all a game of anticipation in that you're trying to work out what they're going to do and they're trying to work out how you're going to defend against them. So it's about utilizing the correct method. But the rule of thumb when it comes to defending is to give yourself a little bit of distance. Don't make it easy for someone to just flick it over your head and sell yourself short because then they're past you. Let's talk about the super sprint. When should you use the super sprint? Again, there's no optimal time, there's no rule of thumb. But super sprints are best used for when the ball is there to be won, i.e. nobody has got it. You're trying to trap back and they're ahead of you, and that's when best to use it. Or you're trying to make a supporting run alongside your friend, you get the ball, and finish the goal. There's a lot of talk about positioning in Rematch, and where should you be in both attacking and defending. The truth is that what you don't want to do, and it applies to every aspect of football for anyone who's played it, you don't want to crowd your man. If there's someone who's a good dribbler, if there's someone who's a good passer, you don't want to be stood right on top of them. You want to give yourself space. So if the ball is over there, the worst thing that I could possibly do for my teammates is be like, yes, pass, pass. What you want to do, you want to make a run down the line. So that they hopefully have three options. There'll be somebody here to pass to, there'll be somebody in the middle to pass to, and then there'll be somebody all the way over here to pass to. What that does is that opens up options. They can go for the long ball, they can go for the short ball and play a 1-2, or they can go down the line. If it goes down the line, you can then make a run into the box, you get it, you finish the goal. Now in terms of defensive positioning, this is where you rely a lot more on your teammates to do their job. Five-a-side is five-a-side in the fact that everybody takes their man. Really, it should be a case of 1v1 battles, that everyone should win their duel. So if an opponent's here, they've got the ball, I should be jockeying my man so that it's not easy. If they beat me, then that leaves a 2v1 over here, for example. And what the whole point is that everybody should be taking a man. Nobody should just be leaving themselves free, and then it's 2v1s, because all that does is create overloads, and it makes it very, very easy to play around. Alright, let's talk goalkeeping. Now, again, goalkeeping, to be honest with you, is probably the simplest part to play on the pitch. But it's all about holding your nerve. Right, so I'll leave the ball here. Let's say that there's an opponent coming towards me now with that ball. I have to decide what I think they're going to do. If they're shaping to shoot, I've got to decide one thing. Am I going to dive or am I going to hold my nerve? If I dive and they shoot above me, that is going to leave them and basically an open goal, because I'm still going to be on the floor by the time that rebound comes in, leaving them to have an open goal to shoot into. However, if I dive too late and the shot is very good, most likely if it's in one of the corners or towards the post, I'm not going to reach it in time, meaning they've scored. There is a split second in between when somebody shoots and where it's going to go. In that split second is when you want to decide, are you diving for a shot because you see it's coming towards the goal, or is it going to go above you? Hopefully, I've got a few examples to show you right now. Love it. Love it.
My fault.
There is two key mechanics as a goalkeeper, the dive mechanic and what I call the smother mechanic. Smother mechanic is so useful in the sense that if somebody is out here, I can close them down, smother it, and do that. Even though I'm not touching it outside the box, there is no penalties, there's no fouls or anything in this game, which means that I can smother the ball. The same applies if it's on the edge of the box, I can smother it, take it outside the box with me, I will obviously drop it, and then I can boot it, get rid of it, clear it, pass it, whatever it needs to be. Personally, if somebody's entering the box, the smother mechanic is a last case scenario because it makes things simple for them. They can chip me or they can rainbow flick it over me. What you want to do is pressure them into deciding in the same way that they're trying to pressure you into diving. When it comes to being a goalkeeper, really it's just a game of anticipation. There is no perfect, optimal way to be a goalkeeper. You just want to make the attacker wait as long as possible before they make their decision. Do not go first. If you go first, you make it easy for the attacker. For example, if I'm going through on goal right now and the goalkeeper's on this 6-yard box, if I get closer and closer, the keeper's making it harder for me to decide what to do. If I get too close, he can smother it very easily. As I get closer, if I don't do anything and then I chip it above, he has a very easy time of collecting it. The same thing applies that if I then try and shoot above, he's going to know probably that I'm going to do that. So in this scenario, and that's why I tell people that the best way to learn Rematch is to play it, because you start to notice patterns in terms of people. But everyone is going to be unique in what they do. Some keepers might try and force you into a decision and others might not. That's why there is no optimal way here. But it's all about options. Chipping it up makes it nice and quick. Just passing it into the goal makes it a nice quick finish. Shooting is the one thing that in a 1v1 situation I just do not recommend unless you're going to aim above. So I'd either chip it up and get for the rebound. I would pass it in because it's quick and the keeper... If you're passing it in, the keeper doesn't see you wind up the shot, meaning bang. Not great, not great attempt. Leave the football before the football leaves you. Just bang. So the keeper doesn't get too long to react. Or you sizing it up. But don't forget, you can do it multiple times in the sense that But don't forget is that you're trying to manipulate the keeper. You can chip it up once, the keeper doesn't fall for it, chip it again. Hopefully they fell for it a second time and done it. It's all about holding your nerve. That's all this game is in the pivotal decisions. Let's talk about long shots and shots outside the box. Now, obviously this is a scenario where maybe all of your teammates are being marked, the cross isn't quite on. This is where you want to really focus on getting pinpoint accuracy. This is where you want to focus on aiming just outside and aiming for that top corner like that. Adding a little bit of drop shot to it, a little bit of full curvature, pointing bottom left, and then you're going to go aiming for the side of the net. There is also one thing that I found to be quite effective is to shoot down the keeper's throw. So if the keeper is stood in the middle of the box, aiming at him, but then it gives it a curvature to go the other way. So again, let's just pretend that the keeper is bang slap in the middle here. What I sometimes like to do, let me just get a bit of a run up, is to aim at him, but add a curvature go into a different direction. And that means the keeper might stand still and then it's too late to dive. Or they see the ball coming towards him and they've got to make a decision as to which way they might go. One chance is all it takes. Alright, finally, let's talk about dribbling. The truth is, there is no perfect way to dribble. There is no optimal way to dribble. It's all about reacting to what your opponent's doing. If your opponent starts charging you down, full sprint, and they're just charging at you, a rainbow flick becomes the very easy option because they're just making it easy. You're going to run right past him. If they're jockeying, this is where you don't really want to be dribbling. You just want to pass the ball off and then make a run. You can, however, use the left trigger, which is then going to keep it nice and close to your body. And as they come in, you just try and manipulate it and then knock it past him. The final part is if someone's about to slide tackle at you. If someone is dashing in and they're slide tackling at you, holding the left trigger down and then using the move mechanic, which is dribble, which is X and A on PlayStation and Xbox, and then space on PC. Using that means you can just sidestep them very, very easily. The same thing applies to the keeper. I've mentioned obviously before about the keeper coming to smother you. You can move just past them, but that smother mechanic is pretty powerful at launch, meaning you have to be properly accurate to get it past them. Most of the time, you're just best to knock it and dribble and shoot like that. Sweeper keeper. Oh, that's there. We're okay there.
To me.
Keeps. Don't mind that. Oh! Again, this is a guy just giving you the basics. There is no optimal way. Despite what people may say, do this in that situation, the point is, there is nothing that always 100% of the time works. You're trying to read your opponent, the opponent's trying to read you. You react to how the opponent is going. There is, of course, very advanced stuff in the sense that if someone's closing you down, you can use a lob pass across against the wall, bounce it off, and then run away from them like that. Same thing applies that if you're going through on goal, someone's closing you down here, you can lob pass it against the wall, get the rebound, and finish it a little bit better than that, hopefully. One final piece of advice is that if you are a goalkeeper and you have the ball collected in your hands in the goal, do not try and kick it out, as it will count as an own goal, as I found out the very, very hard way. But that's my Rematch beginner's guide. Hopefully you took some value from this. Again, I wanted to keep it surface level because A, I'm not trying to optimize the fun out of this game in the way that many PvP games do. And two, the game is all about being reactionary. It's about trying to read your opponents, and it's about your opponents trying to read you, and it's about trying to be that one step ahead. It's a game of nerve, and that's very much about how football is. Trying to bait your opponent in, trying to be one step ahead of him, trying to manipulate them so that you can get around them best. But yeah, let me know if this has been useful. Again, it's very difficult to demonstrate so much of this other than using clips in game and showing you in the arena when there's no bots that I can use to show the different scenarios or anything like that. And if it has been useful, leaving a like would be massively appreciated. Hopefully this goes down well, better than my actual other guide that I did, which everyone thought was going to be this, but hopefully I atoned for my errors on that one. And yeah, if you like Rematch, if you're just enjoying my kind of content, I'd love for you to stick around. I appreciate it. So maybe consider subscribing. I'm just playing the games that I really like, and that's what I have on the channel. Otherwise, I hope you have a terrific day. Play games, get gains, and I will catch you in the next one if I survive this UK heat. Goodbye.